What's up, guys? We are back with another NECA Toys review, taking a look at a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. We are looking at the Batman vs. Predator 2-pack, a figure set that we thought was never going to come out, but the impossible happened and we finally have this set, and I am very, very excited to take a look at this. I'm not even the biggest DC fan by any means, but I have been eagerly looking forward to this set since the minute we knew it was actually coming. So we've got this thing here in, frankly, what is a pretty bland packaging set here. It is just the two logos on a black field, and despite the fact that I'm really not a fan of this packaging, I believe that there was some restrictions on WB's part when it comes to how this thing could have been done, so NECA did what they could do, and frankly, we got it. That's all I care about, so it's a box. The figures are in there. We're going to take them out anyway. But of course, being NECA, it does have a flap here, so you can pop it open. You've got your figures there in the middle and then nothing on the inside. There's not even anything on the back either. It's just black. So you've got your Batman, you've got your Predator. That's about it. It's a box. We're going to pull them out, so let's do it. Let's take a look. And here they are out of the package, our Batman vs. Predator figures from NECA Toys. Pretty much a legendary set of figures by now because, you know, no one thought these were ever going to come out. And I think we've got a really solid set of figures here. I am pretty happy with just about everything we've got going on here. And if anything, it's made me want more DC figures from a company that is not going to be producing them. So it's a bit of a win-lose situation here. We get some really cool stuff, but we're not going to get a lot more of it. So I know why you're here. You're here to see Batman. So we're going to move this Predator aside, and we're going to talk about Mr. Wayne, see what he's got going on first. So this guy is, of course, a armored Batman, so he's not your standard Batman figure. We're going to be getting one of those later on. But this guy, for the uninitiated, is in this armor because of the Predator. So he gets whooped, and then he needs to beef himself up and get himself into fighting shape quicker, so he throws himself into this armor. And frankly, I think he looks pretty awesome in it. I really like the way this armor looks, and I think it translates into toy form pretty well. So despite the fact that we're getting this one first, I'm really, really happy with how this figure turned out. Of course, I really want that classic one, but I really like this figure. There's really not much for me to say more than I really like this. I will say right off the bat that I did have to hit this guy with quite a bit of heat. That has been the unique experience with this figure compared to the rest of the DC Dark Horse stuff, is he needed to be heated up a lot more than I expected. A lot of these joints were really, really stiff. He moves fine now. I don't really have any issues now, but of course, word to the wise, pay attention to your figure as you're moving him around for the first time. Don't go in and just start breaking joints. If you need to, heat them up with a hairdryer and then you should be good to go. So speaking of joints and articulation, our head can look up and down, bobble side to side. Rotation, the arms go out and they rotate, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. You've got wrist rotation and hinge, but you're pretty limited because of these pads that cover the tops of the hands. You've got a crunch, so he goes down and then he goes back. This one's still pretty tight. You do have a bit of a hole there, though, which is kind of unsightly. You've got a twist. Your legs go out, and they go all the way out. I will say when you're moving these legs to watch these pads, because these things are maybe my one gripe with this figure, is they just pop off. They're not part of the sculpt, because these legs are reused with the rest of the line. So these might be a problem, but they will kind of maybe fall off a bit. I seem to have more problems than I expected to, but they don't really get in the way of articulation. They might pop off. You've got a thigh cut up in there. You've got your double jointed knees, of course. You've got a shin swivel boot cut, and then you've got hinges and you've got rocker down here at the ankles. They are kind of limited because of the design of this boot, and then you've got toe articulation as well. So he does have, basically everything I expected him to have, but maybe a little more, honestly. I didn't really think he had the toe articulation. He moves around really well. Again, the only real caveat to that statement is that I had to heat him up. Now, obviously, one of the main reasons that everybody's buying this set is the looks of this figure. There's no doubt in my mind that the main draw for this guy is just the design and the fact that he looks so detailed, and that's because he is really detailed. There is a lot going on with this figure. Now, of course, he is larger than average. Most of your superhero style figures are going to be more in a 6-inch scale. This guy is more in a 7-inch scale, so he's not really going to go along with a lot of stuff. He's really going to fit more in lines with a lot of NECA stuff, honestly. For me personally, it's not a big deal because, again, I don't buy a lot of DC stuff, so this is, one of 3 modern DC figures, well, 4 because I have Superman, one of 4 modern DC figures I have right now, so it's not a huge deal for me, but I can understand understand how that, might be a kind of a sore spot for some folks. But I think either way, you're in for a real treat with this figure because there is just a lot of cool stuff going on here. And with NECA, you generally get a ton of paint applications, and we definitely get that here. There is a lot of paint all over this figure, a lot of wash all over these gauntlets, a lot of blacks, a lot of this kind of turquoise metallic color, but it's also got a wash all over it. Same for these boots down here with the shin guards and then the wraparound pieces like the armor as well as the boots themselves. Not to mention the fact that you've got this really huge utility belt with a ton of gold paint, black wash, red details, just a lot of sculpt in there as well, a lot of techno mechanical kind of sculpt. You've got your armor pads on the thighs that I've already mentioned are a bit of an annoyance for me personally. They look good and they kind of beef him up. They add to his bulk with the armor that he's got on top. They move around a little too much for my taste, but when he's standing still, they're perfectly fine. It's really only when you're handling him. These gauntlets, again, they do come off. If you wanted to, you can pop the hands off and they'll slide off. And they actually show you that we've got the underside, the actual normal gauntlets with the spikes coming out of the wrist there. So these are likely going to be reused arms on the regular Batman we get at NYCC. And you've got these big chrome blades, which has nice metallic paint on it. Same for the armor pads on the thighs. Same, of course, for the armor on the chest. And it's just got a great luster and shine. Of course, there's battle damage all over it. You've got the bright bat logo up there, so it's no question who this is. And even on the back side here, you can see exactly how bright that is. There's a lot of shine to this armor. And then of course, one of the big things with this figure is literally and figuratively is the cape. And it feels kind of thin at times, but it also feels like it's just right. There's a real nice way that this hangs. It's also very, very large. There is a lot of material here, and it sits on the ground really nicely. It hangs just right. It just kind of drapes over the ground just a little bit, just enough to know that, yeah, this is kind of a classic long Batman cape, and it just looks fantastic. And then, of course, on top of that, you've got this amazing head sculpt. And this is a damn good Batman head sculpt if I have ever seen one. Again, of course, this is an armored head sculpt, but just look at that thing. You can tell, even under that armor cowl and armor mask, that is a Bruce Wayne head, a Bruce Wayne kind of mouth and nose. The paint on it is fantastic. The sculpt is great. That's very proportionate to the body. Everything up here just looks really nicely done. A lot of line work in there, different colors, different amounts of shading, the nice gritted teeth, all of the lines around the face and the mouth, and just those deep sunken eyes in the mask sockets. It looks fantastic. There's really nothing for me to gripe about here. I think that the figure, from an aesthetic level alone, is pretty flawless. NECA has done an amazing, amazing job when it comes to translating this figure from comic to figure form. Now, our Predator friend here is a bit of an interesting one. I'm not entirely sure that he is just a recolor of a Predator. I don't think I've ever seen one that looks exactly like this. He really seems to be a combination of different versions of different Predators. There is a lot of Jungle Hunter and a lot of City Hunter in this guy, which frankly, for my money, is pretty solid. He has a fairly unique color scheme. This kind of muddled, very muted grays and greens works really well, and of course the kind of brown color scheme. So he's pretty standard while at the same time being kind of different. He is, of course, a standard Ultimate style Predator when it comes to articulation. There's not really anything different there. So the head can look up and he can look down. It's just a peg that goes in the head, rotation. And then the arms go out, they rotate. You've got a bicep swivel, you've got double jointed elbows. You do have forearm swivel. You've got hinges and rotation at the wrist there. And then you've got your diaphragm cut. So he goes backwards and forwards, side to side rotation. You've got a waist twist down there as well. Legs go out. They kick forward and back. You can cut in the thigh. You've got double jointed knees. And then you've got your ball pegs down at the ankles. So rocker, hinge, and then rotation. So good movement all around. He's exactly what I expected him to be in terms of how he moves. Nothing new, nothing different there, which frankly is not surprising. So he moves as well as you would expect if you are familiar with recent Predator figures. Now, as far as the overall look on this guy, like I mentioned, he is very familiar while at the same time being a little different because he has a lot of stuff that we have seen with other Predators. So the mask is very Jungle Hunter Predator. This armor piece is a Jungle Hunter thing. This shoulder pad is a City Hunter thing. The smart disc is very much a City Hunter thing, while this leg pad here or the thigh pad is a Jungle Hunter thing. So you've got kind of a hodgepodge of pieces here. And I don't know that, again, I don't know that there is one that looks just like this that they just recolored for this set. I doubt that's the case because they have so many options to pull from. But I think this looks pretty cool. He is, you know, for all intents and purposes, he is a pretty standard Predator, but he does have a very unique color scheme. I really like this kind of dark, muddy color we've got going on for the armor. It's very, very muted greens and grays for a lot of the armor pieces, and then you've got this kind of almost camouflage design to his skin itself underneath what is a tremendous amount of painted netting. So there are a lot of paint apps on this guy, no matter how you cut it. They went to town in terms of coloring him. You've got your opening control pad over here. You've got your extending wrist gauntlet here with the blades, and then it's just a good looking figure. You know, I've seen so many Predators lately that I can just kind of go through them really quick, but there's a lot to look at on this guy because he does have so much stuff from other figures, and I really think he looks very nice. He's definitely not the draw for this set. I'm sure that most folks are getting this set for Batman specifically, but for Predator fans, there's a lot to like here. Paint is on point, sculpt is on point. If you're a fan of the more classic style Predators, then this is one of the ones to get for sure because he kind of combines a lot of the stuff that makes those classic original Predators unique. So he combines stuff from unique Predators to make another unique Predator, and I think he looks really good. I'm really digging the kind of muted patinaed look to his mask. The green eyes in general are a huge thing for me. Those look fantastic. And then you've got your Predlocks and the little blue jewels on them that run down. So if you like Predators and you like the old school original movie style Predators, this is one to get. There's no doubt about it. Now, as far as accessories goes, you've got a number of things for these two figures. A pretty well-rounded set, I think. For the Predator, we've got an alternate head sculpt, so this is very Jungle Hunter looking. It's very, very similar to that particular Predator, but of course it's done up in this more muddled earth tone type of look. Very nice spotting, great sculpt, great paint applications, the whole 9 yards. Everything that you would kind of expect. You've also got a plasma caster backpack here. Normally I would put this on the figure, but frankly I like this one without it. But it does look pretty good no matter what. And it's got a Jungle Hunter style backpack, but it's actually got a City Hunter style blaster. So that's another one of those things that kind of brings the two types of Predators together. You've got a smart disc, and then you've got a pretty snazzy combi stick here, which has an opening feature, which looks pretty good. A little bit of a wash on this guy and a pretty wild sculpt. And then you've also got some extra hands. You've got an open palm splayed finger hand, and then you've got a slightly gripping pose hand, which you can use for, for the stick, and you can use this for the smart disc. So you've got a lot of options there. Of course, Batman has a few things as well. He doesn't have as many, but he has pretty much what he needs. So you've got the kind of smoky visor that you can put over top, and it really just sits on top of Batman. It's just in a separate piece. You just put it on there, and it stays just fine. I've had no issues with it falling unless you're kind of pointing him downwards. You've got the bat, so Batman comes with a bat. It's a wooden bat, which I swear was supposed to be metal from what was in the comics, but I just could be misremembering. But the best thing about it, regardless of that, is that it has some Predator blood on the end, so you can have him whacking him in the head, which is exactly what happens in the comic. He's, of course, got a gripping hand to be able to use that in lieu of the fist hand, and then you have got his little bat pistol here, kind of like a noisy cricket type of thing from Men in Black style. So this is something I'm personally never going to use. He's always probably going to have that bat in his hand, but I think in general, this pack has quite a few solid accessories. Again, just a well-rounded pack. So overall, this is pretty much living up to my expectations for what I was hoping these sets would be. These have, I wouldn't say it's ignited a desire for DC figures in me, but I would like to have more of this style of DC figure. And again, that's unfortunate for me personally because we know it's not really going to happen. But for the scant few that we're going to get, I'm pretty excited for the rest of them. Superman is, I've already played around with him. He's really cool as well. And this set is just fantastic. I don't have anything to really gripe about outside of the fact that I actually needed to heat up Batman and not the Predator, which was kind of surprising. Otherwise, though, Batman is absolutely stellar. Sculpt is fantastic. Paint is fantastic. Accessories are fantastic. And this is a great Predator. He's maybe not the draw again, but it's a good Predator, so if you like Predators, you're in for a good figure. If you like Batman, you're in for a good figure. And if you like both, then you've got one hell of a 2-pack to deal with, and you're going to be very happy. So there is a lot to enjoy in this one. I would recommend just snatching it up while you can. There's no doubt in my mind that these are going to get only more expensive as time goes on. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA Toys SDCC 2019 Batman vs. Predator 2-pack. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.